By age 15, you had killed 6 people.
Because all my life I've always been small and skinny. So I've never been the intimidating type of guy. So I've always been the one that could think though. Before we run out there, hold on, let's put this together. I was always one of them. That's why I got a lot of respect from a lot of the OGs, a lot of the older people, because I just wasn't gonna just jump out there head first. You couldn't just tell me, look, go in the courtyard and go air all them out. Like, hold on, what's going on? How much money involved? Who getting what? Because I had been played before like that with Eric Maurice.
What happened with Eric Maurice?
I come home, broke out of juvenile jail, talking all this gangster talk again, like I always used to do. Want to impress the older, he wasn't that older than me, but he was a few years older than I was. And there was a hit out on the guy, and I was telling him, like, man, I go and do this and this. I said, because I used to cuss a lot.
Killing 6 people by 15 is crazy work. While most regular people didn't even have 6 real fights by age of 15, 6 murders and barely was a freshman in high school is insane. The 80s and 90s was a really different time. Getting away with crimes was so much easier back then. Not like today where you are literally being recorded somewhere all the time. Those days to have Motorola flip-flop phone was luxury. Terrence Gangsta Williams, aka OG Giggity, was born in 1974 in Gerttown, a neighborhood in the 17th Ward of New Orleans. At that time, life was tough in 17th Ward and around New Orleans in general that time, and many kids had to grow up fast. Terrence Williams was one of them. As he got older, he started talking more with his half-brother Brian Baby Williams, also known as Birdman, who would later become the CEO of Cash Money Records. Their bond was strong, but they chose different paths. While Birdman focused on music and business, Terrence stayed in the streets. At just 11 years old, Terrence was reported to have killed someone, allegedly for his brother. This showed how deeply he was involved in street life from a young age. Terrence became known by many names, including Gangsta, OG Giggity, and Mr. Civilian. He also referred himself as Mr. Answer right back. He gained a big reputation in New Orleans as one of the most feared original hot boys, not the rap group, but in the real streets. He was known doing all evil works of his brother Birdman. He is also the half-brother of Ronald Slim the Don Williams, who is the other co-founder of Cash Money Records. Terrence's involvement in street life eventually caught up with him. He was arrested and sentenced to 250 years at the Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as Angola Prison. At the time, it seemed like he would spend the rest of his life there. However, in a surprising twist, Terrence was released on January 3, 2022, at 47 years old. His sentence was reduced from 250 years to 27 years, and he had already completed most of it. The judge never gave a reason for lowering the sentence, which led to speculation and rumors. After his release, some former rivals and people from the streets accused him of cooperating with law enforcement. They claimed he informed on others to gain an early release. Many tried to damage his reputation and question his credibility.
Gangsta, stop lying, bro. Stop lying, gangster. Giggity.
Okay.
Nah, you call yourself Mr. Civilian.
Terrence Williams. Now listen to it. You say, first of all, it's Terrence Civilian Williams. That's what it is.
You know what I'm saying? And they say, where the bread at? And I'm like, what bread? Like, you just hit the dice game. Reached in my pocket and got the bread. Turned me around. When you spin me around, it's one of the hot boys. I'm going into Albertville because I got family back there. Who I see standing in the cold, homie, gangster, on site. Gangster said, that would have skip right there. He looked at me, man ain't asking no questions, man. Man, up that went to doing his thing. I see him coming toward me. So when I go to hit him back, I hit him. Gangster, with a gun on him, ran.
We used to rob dice game. Now, Killer Stone, the homie Sweepy, all them, they used to shoot dice, true. But this guy didn't come out there and shoot no dice. Sterling ain't just do that kind of stuff. What happened, see, this is what they did. They started watching my videos because his brother been home for 2 years. He been home for years, right? So now I guess they seen how I took to the internet. So now they like, you know what? Let's go sit down and make our play. But we got to change the story because the reason why he killed Sterling was petty.
I'm just like looking at all this stuff over the years. You claim to be a gangster, bro. I was like, why he keep screaming, I'm a gangster? I said, oh, I get it. The camera's on. The people watching. So there's a lot of people don't know that you fake, that you really studio gangster. So you
see, we don't keep that down, you heard me? These guns, you heard me, without them, that mean protection, that mean retaliation.
My little click of the post boys, you heard me? Being real is like a fantasy. He come around here, he show love, he be real with you. That's what I'm saying. At the meaning of being real. You heard me? Yeah, show love, you heard me? It's all great.
Terrence, now using the name Mr. Answer Right Back, addressed these accusations on social media. He said his critics were simply trolls who distort the truth and use his name for clout. He also claimed they watch his videos and then change the narrative. Despite the controversy, Terrence has regained a level of respect in Louisiana. Some people refer to him as the King of Louisiana or the King of Gangsters. Others describe him as a survivor of harsh street conditions, coming from struggle and hardship. Many still view him as one of the most feared figures to come out of Louisiana. Today, Terrence Gangsta Williams carries a complex reputation. Some believe he has changed and has valuable experiences to share, while others remain skeptical. Regardless of opinions, his life story stands out as one of the most impactful to come from New Orleans. And now, he is stepping into a new phase of his life. Since being released, Terrence has stayed very active online. He uses social media platforms to openly discuss his past and reflect on his experiences. He shares untold stories, past disputes, and the realities of growing up in New Orleans. He often speaks about old conflicts and street dynamics in the city. Still, not everyone agrees with how openly he speaks. Some of his former enemies feel disrespected by his version of events and have confronted him publicly, leading to ongoing online arguments that can become intense. Terrence has referred to many of these critics as trolls, saying they copy his content, watch his YouTube videos, twist the facts, and create their own exaggerated versions just to gain attention. One of the most outspoken critics is Rippa, also called Skip, from the Melpomene Project's Melf. Rippa has spoken out against Gangsta and even challenged him to a boxing match. Some street rumors say Rippa was involved in the killing of Sterling, a key member of the original Hot Boys. Gangsta refused the fight, saying he has changed his life. He also said he cannot be around anyone linked to the death of his close friend, Sterling. Rippa, Skip, is known for a troubled past, with claims of gun violence, robbery, fraud, car theft, and chain snatching in the Magnolia Projects. However, some people believe he was shaped by the tough environment he grew up in. Living in such conditions may have pushed him toward crime and made him one of the most feared people in Louisiana. Many believe that Gangsta's enemies come from both the Melf and the Calliope Projects. The tension between these areas led to violent clashes and eventually turned into a serious conflict between Magnolia and Calliope. One major event that made things worse was the killing of Mosquito, a Hot Boys member from Magnolia. His body was later found on the roadside, sending a strong message and increasing the conflict. Some well-known people from the Calliope Projects include Master P, C Murder, and Randall Watts. In the 1990s, Calliope, located in the 3rd Ward of New Orleans, was seen as one of the most dangerous housing areas. It produced many individuals who became known or feared because of their street reputation. One of them was Randall Watts, also known as Calliope Slim. He was related to Master P and C murder. Street reports say Randall was killed by someone named Lil Tank, possibly as revenge for Mosquito's death. This reportedly happened near Rose Tavern, a popular spot for uptown street figures in the 1990s and early 2000s. At that time, Rose Tavern was known as a central place for street activity. Terrence "Gangsta" Williams started making a lot of money at a young age. He helped support Cash Money Records in the early 1990s. Many believe he also helped inspire the rap group Hot Boys, which included Sterling, Dooney, and Mosquito. Gangsta was once very respected and feared in the streets. People looked up to him in his neighborhood and even in rival areas across New Orleans. He was known as one of the most powerful figures in the city. After serving 23 years in federal prison for leading a criminal group and planning murder, Gangsta changed his life. Now he focuses on helping others. He gives to charities, supports his community, and encourages people in New Orleans to work hard and do better. Today, Terrence "Gangsta" Williams has chosen a different path. He uses his voice to inspire others and promote peace and positive change instead of violence. Gangsta, also known as OG Giggity, is a well-known street figure from New Orleans since the early 1990s. He was serving a life sentence but was later released from prison. The reason for his release was not shared, because the judge sealed the information. This has made many people wonder how he was set free. After Terrence "Gangsta" Williams got out of prison, he started telling his story. As he speaks, more hidden stories about New Orleans and its housing projects are coming out.
And he gave me a Mac 11. I walked up the courtyard, hit the boy up. He was a little older guy too. Hit him up. The guy ran in the hallway. I ran in the hallway behind him. And when I went to stand over him, this pretty lady come out the door. Beautiful. And she's like, "Baby, don't kill him." I looked at her, looked at him, and I just ran out the hallway. A year later, when I got caught, I lied about my age and went to the adult jail. And I was on the 6th floor, he was on the 5th floor. And he was real loud, and a lot of deputies used to like him because he used to make them laugh and he used to talk a lot of smack. And this pretty deputy, she popped my door one day. She said, "Where you gonna come out to the bar?" She said, "They call you gangsta?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "All right." I was like, "What's up?" She said, "You can go back to your cell." And then we went on the yard they had a little jazz band. They let a few tears go on the yard, and he was out there. And my pot, he did 31 years. He's home now. He still called himself juvenile to this day. But I was like, but anyway, so he knew he knew what to do, because I didn't really know how to do the look. Because I just did a favor for my homeboy I was trying to impress. He was like, "They what to do right there, you shot up." I look. And then he's across from like where you at, I'm over here against the wall, and the big guy standing up, and there's another guy, we both got green shirts on. So I'm reading his lips, he like, "Lil Gangsta on the 6th floor? That's the one who shot me up, beat him up for me." So I look up, and the big dude like, "I got you." So I'm thinking, well, I'm a little youngster. This dude might, all y'all around the same age, you, him, and this guy. So I'm thinking this guy who agreed to beat up Lil Gangsta, thinking it's him. So Juvenile was like, "Man, I'm gonna help you fight him." So when we go upstairs, problem was, you got this side, got 3 cells, 10-man cells, and this side. Juvenile was on his side, so the guy was in cell 1, I was in cell 2. So I didn't go in my cell, I stood outside in the hallway because he was a big guy, and I was like, I prefer to fight him out here, so hopefully the deputy come in and break us up right quick. But the guy walked up, came in there, and just walked in the cell and shut the door, locked the gate. I was like, all right, cool. And I went in my cell, locked the gate, and later on that day, let him out. He said, "You look good?" I said, "Yeah." "You the one shot water boy?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, I like you, man. You kept it real." And the crazy part about it, Vlad, the guy I shot, I finally talked to him when I got out of the feds. Him and I finally talked. I shot that man in 91 and me and him finally talking 2022.
How'd that conversation go?
He was he was one of the ones that I was coming home on some bull crap. He was like, man, you know, I'm out the streets, I'm not in the streets, you know, I don't want no problem. And it was a mediator, one of my homeboys I used to respect, called me, was like, man, you know, I'm making a call, and I let him know, bro, you ain't on that foolishness no more, y'all ain't with this, but he wanted to hear from you. Hey, what's up? We talked, and we was able to squash it. Do I trust him? No. But I think for me and the next man, that's why I stay my distance from everybody.
He is believed to be the last living member of the original Hot Boys group. After prison, he chose to change his life. Now he focuses on helping his community. He uses his past as a lesson to guide young people. He encourages them to stay in school, follow their talents in music and art, and live a better life. OG Giggity, also called the champion of the people and Mr. Answer Right Back, is seen by many as a changed man. He now acts as a mentor and tries to help others avoid the mistakes he made. However, not everyone believes he has changed. Some old enemies still hold grudges. One of them is Rippa, also known as Skip from the Melf. He often criticizes OG Giggity and brings up the past to provoke him. Rippa has accused OG Giggity of not being loyal. He claims that during a past incident, Gangsta ran away with a gun and left his friend Sterling behind. According to Rippa, Sterling was shot many times and died near a Foot Locker on Canal Street. There are also rumors that Rippa may have been involved in Sterling's death, but this has never been proven. Rippa says the problem started during a dice game where he claims Sterling, Gangsta, and others took money from him. He says this made him want revenge. Rippa claims that later he saw Sterling and OG Giggity again on Canal Street. He says the situation quickly became violent and he started shooting while they were running. He claims Sterling was shot and died there. It is not clear how much of Rippa's story is true. What is clear is that the past still affects everyone involved. While OG Giggity seems to have moved on, others like Rippa are still holding on to old problems. Before this, the Hot Boys had already lost one of their members, Mosquito. He was killed in a street conflict involving Randall Watts, also known as Calliope Slim, from the Calliope Projects. His death had a big impact on the group, and sadly, it was not the last loss. Now they were facing another painful loss, the second member gone from their group. The streets were buzzing, with rumors spreading quickly and different names being mentioned. One name that kept coming up was Rippa, also known as Skip Out the Melf. Many people claimed he was paid to kill Sterling, another original member of the Hot Boys clique. According to Street Talk, Sterling was a target, and the situation involved betrayal, money, and the darker side of street life. As the rumors grew, Terrence Gangsta Williams, also known as Mr. Answer Right Back, went live to speak on it. He chose not to stay silent. In his video, he called Rippa a clout chaser who was only looking for attention. Gangsta strongly denied all the accusations, saying they were false stories made up to gain fame and misuse his name. Still, the situation continued to escalate. Rippa kept doing interviews and publicly criticizing Gangsta. He claimed that Terrence was never truly a gangsta. Rippa even said that during a shooting, Gangsta ran away while he stayed and shot Sterling near the Foot Locker on Canal Street. These claims were serious and added more tension to an already heated situation. Despite all the conflict, the story of the original Hot Boys remains one filled with loyalty, betrayal, loss, and survival. They came from the Magnolia Projects, a place that shaped their lives, mindset, and even their music. To understand their story, it's important to understand where they came from. Before going deeper into the life of Terrence Gangsta Williams, we need to look at the Magnolia Projects, where it all began. The story of the Hot Boys is not just about music or street reputation. It started in the tough environment of Magnolia, and that's the foundation of everything. Public housing in New Orleans began in 1937 with developments like St. Thomas and Magnolia. The Magnolia Projects, officially known as the C.J. Pete Projects and often called the Wild Magnolia, was one of the city's largest housing developments. Today, the area has been redeveloped and renamed Harmony Oaks. At its peak, it housed around 2,100 residents and included over 1,400 units. The first section was built in 1941, bordered by Louisiana Avenue, Magnolia Street, Washington Avenue, and LaSalle Street. In 1955, the area was expanded, adding several more blocks and changing nearby streets, including the removal of Belmont Place. During the time of racial segregation, Flint Goodrich Hospital, one of the main hospitals for black residents, was located nearby. Several of New Orleans' early black mayors were born there. From 1952 to 1978, the housing complex was managed by Cleveland Joseph Peet. By the 1980s and 1990s, conditions in the Magnolia Projects had worsened, especially during the crack cocaine epidemic. Crime increased along with heavy police presence. In 1998, parts of the area began to be demolished as part of a redevelopment plan by the Housing Authority of New Orleans. Now, with that background, we return to the story of Terrence "Gangsta" Williams, also known as OG Giggity, the champion of the people, and Mr. Answer Right Back. Terrence "Gangsta" Williams was a major figure in New Orleans street life and one of the original members of the Hot Boys before the rap group became famous. Long before the music success, he was involved in drug dealing, violence, and organized crime. According to court records, there was a time when Williams planned to target a group of drug dealers from New York. He believed they owed money connected to a heroin shipment sent to New Orleans. What he didn't realize was that the FBI was already monitoring him. They had intercepted the package and were listening to his phone calls, which reportedly captured him discussing plans for a murder for hire. The FBI recordings ultimately led to Terrence "Gangsta" Williams' arrest and eventual conviction. He was sentenced to life in prison, along with an additional 250 years, though that sentence was later reduced to life plus 20 years. For someone who had lived much of his life in the streets, it was a dramatic and definitive turning point, signaling the end of one chapter and the forced beginning of another behind bars. Before his incarceration, Williams was much more than a notorious street figure. He was also a key financial supporter and strategist. In the early 1990s, he played a critical role in funding the launch of Cash Money Records, which would go on to become one of the most iconic and influential labels in hip-hop history. It is reported that he contributed over $100,000 to the label alongside his half-brothers, Brian, Baby Williams, and Ronald Slim Williams, helping lay the groundwork for the careers of artists who would eventually take the music world by storm. Unlike his brothers, who focused primarily on business, music, and expanding their label, Gangsta remained deeply embedded in the streets of New Orleans. His daily life revolved around the pursuit of fast money, retaliation, and asserting dominance over his territory. By 1993, he had already been arrested 6 times on murder charges. Remarkably, none of these arrests led to convictions. At the time, a local law known as the 30-day rule required authorities to release anyone if no witness stepped forward within 30 days. Many violent individuals, including Gangsta, were able to exploit this loophole. Though the law was eventually repealed, it contributed significantly to his early reputation, making him a legendary figure in New Orleans underground circles and cementing his place in street lore. Today, Gangsta Williams is the only surviving original member of the Hot Boys gang. The others, Dooney, Sterling, and Mosquito, lost their lives to the very lifestyle they once glorified and depended on. That world offered no real future, only cycles of violence, grief, and death, but Gangsta endured, navigating the chaos and coming out alive. After nearly 24 years in federal prison, 23 years and 10 months, Terrence was finally released. He emerged not just as a free man, but with the opportunity to redefine his life entirely. His release gave him a chance to grow, reflect, and leverage his experiences to help guide others away from the path he once walked. It was a rare opportunity to turn decades of hardship, mistakes, and survival into a blueprint for change. New Orleans, the city that raised him, left an indelible mark on who Terrence became, a place of incredible cultural richness, deep history, and complex social challenges The city is a mix of opportunity and danger, where poverty and the pull of street life have shaped generations. Terrence knows this environment intimately. Now he aims to give back to the same neighborhoods that molded him, using his story to prevent others from falling into the traps of violence and crime. His goal is to provide young people with alternatives, paths toward education, creative pursuits, and meaningful opportunities that can replace the destructive patterns of street life. His credibility comes from experience, honesty, and undeniable street respect, qualities that make people listen to him in ways few others can. Even as he focuses on positive change, Gangsta remains connected to hip-hop. As the half-brother of Cash Money Records founders Birdman and Slim, he witnessed the label's rise firsthand and saw the success of artists like B.G., Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and Turk, who formed the iconic Hot Boys rap group. Birdman also collaborated with Manny Fresh to create the Big Timers. Many believe that Terrence Williams was the real-life inspiration behind the Hot Boy persona, which became a defining image in Southern rap culture and a symbol of resilience, ambition, and street credibility. Gangsta's reputation extended well beyond New Orleans. He earned respect from high-profile figures such as Demetrius Big Meech Flenory, the founder of the Black Mafia family, BMF. Despite both men having criminal pasts, they recognized one another for courage, loyalty, and influence, traits that commanded respect across the criminal underworld as well as the hip-hop industry. Now, as a free man, Terrence occupies a unique and powerful position. He retains ties to the legacy of Cash Money while stepping into a new chapter of life, one where he can serve as both a cautionary tale and a positive mentor. His journey blends survival, influence, and the transformative power of second chances, offering a rare perspective that few in his position possess. Following his release, Gangsta quickly returned to public attention, embarking on a media tour that attracted national and international interest. He appeared on major platforms like Vlad TV, which is renowned for some of hip-hop's most revealing interviews, and real-life productions, where he shared personal reflections on street life, prison, and the inner workings of the music business. Known for his humor, charisma, and timing, Terrence has become a compelling storyteller, able to engage audiences with both raw honesty and entertaining anecdotes. Beyond traditional media, he has built a growing digital presence. His YouTube channel, Terrence Gangsta Williams, the original Hot Boy, features personal stories, reflections on life, and commentary on community issues. Additionally, he partnered with media host Queen France to launch the Cappity Cap podcast, which blends street narratives, social commentary, interviews, and entertainment. The podcast balances humor with serious topics, and it has quickly gained recognition and influence within urban media. Among his most highly anticipated projects is an upcoming documentary, which promises to reveal new and unfiltered stories from his life, his experiences in the streets, and behind-the-scenes moments at Cash Money Records. Fans expect answers to long-standing questions about his past decisions, his journey through crime, and his path to personal transformation. What distinguishes Terrence is his relentless drive, humility, and collaboration with Queen France. Together, they have built an authentic platform that mixes charm, wit, and meaningful content. Their partnership has created a fresh, engaging space in media that continues to grow in both reach and influence. The precise reason for Terrence's release remains partly unclear. In certain cases, judges keep details confidential to protect the individual's safety. Court records indicate that in 1999, Terrence shared critical information with authorities regarding several murders and encouraged witnesses to cooperate with law enforcement. While no immediate benefits were publicly documented, his release raised questions and highlighted the complexity of long-term federal legal cases. It's important to remember that the Hot Boys name did not originate in a studio. The original Hot Boys were a real street crew from New Orleans, known for courage, loyalty, and influence. Terrence Gangsta Williams, as the half-brother of Cash Money founders Birdman and Slim, was instrumental in both the streets and the label, helping fund and shape Cash Money Records. His investments, reputation, and commanding presence were foundational in building a label that would later gain worldwide fame. Today, the name that once inspired fear in New Orleans is crafting a new legacy, one built on storytelling, leadership, second chances, and strategic vision. Terrence "Gangsta" Williams is not only rewriting his own life, but also creating a narrative that can inspire others to rewrite theirs. The other key members of the original Hot Boys clique were Dooney, Mosquito, and Sterling, alongside Terrence "Gangsta" Williams. After the original crew gained a notorious reputation in New Orleans, Dooney went on to establish his own crew, the Dooney Boys. He recruited young individuals from the projects, providing them with basic necessities like food, clothing, and guidance in an attempt to protect them from the dangers of street life and to create some sense of order in a world that often had none. Mosquito, another Hot Boys clique member, met a tragic end when he was shot over 20 times by Randall Watts, also known as Calliope Slim, a well-known figure from the Calliope Projects and cousin of Master P and C murder. Watts, who also served as the landlord of the Calliope Projects, was deeply entrenched in the violent street scene, and the feud that led to Mosquito's death was emblematic of the deep rivalries between different New Orleans neighborhoods. Sterling, meanwhile, was killed in a shocking act of violence on Canal Street. He was shot 7 times in the back of the head by Ripper, also known as Skip out the mouth, near the Foot Locker. Sterling was pronounced dead shortly afterward, marking yet another devastating loss for the crew. Terrence "Gangsta" Williams, the last surviving original member of the Hot Boys clique, was released from his life sentence in 2022. His release marked the end of nearly 24 years behind bars and gave him the opportunity to rewrite his life story. Meanwhile, other key figures in the extended Cash Money and New Orleans Street Network were also being released, drawing renewed attention to the city's past criminal and music scenes. BG, one of Cash Money's early stars and a contemporary of Gangsta, was released in 2023. C Murder, formerly incarcerated, also regained his freedom. One of the most controversial and widely discussed incidents involves Yellow Boy, a member of the UNLV crew, Uptown Niggas Living Violent. He was shot in the head in a violent confrontation, and street rumors claim that Terrence "Gangsta" Williams may have been involved, though he was never formally charged for the murder. The story is complicated by long-standing tension between UNLV and Cash Money Records, particularly Brian "Birdman" Williams. Yellow Boy was reportedly involved in violent altercations, including allegedly shooting at Birdman's property over a royalty dispute, which fueled further speculation and street lore. In a Vlad TV interview, Lil Ya of UNLV spoke about the trauma of losing his friend Yellow Boy to violence, reflecting on the dangerous environment that surrounded New Orleans' rap scene in the 1990s. While Terrence was sentenced in 1999 to life plus 240 years, it was not directly for the murder of Yellow Boy, but for his involvement in conspiracy to commit murder and his participation in a broader criminal enterprise. The Hot Boys clique, despite their later association with music, were primarily a street crew, known for their ruthlessness and their control over drug operations in the city. Their motto reflected their mindset: "We don't bust raps, we bust caps." Dooney's motives, in particular, stemmed from a desire to protect the young boys in the projects from selling drugs in dangerous areas such as courtyards. Unfortunately, one young boy confronted Dooney and shot him multiple times, leading to his death from internal bleeding while Terrence "Gangsta" Williams was incarcerated. Around the same period, Terrence's mother was also shot in retaliation for alleged actions connected to her son, though she survived the attack. The original Hot Boys clique, Gangsta, Dooney, Sterling, and Mosquito, were deeply embedded in street life, operating as the official street team for Cash Money Records. At that time, music was secondary. Survival, loyalty, and dominance were the priorities. These men were enforcers, feared in multiple neighborhoods, and deeply influential in the street culture of New Orleans. Beyond the Hot Boys clique, other affiliated figures like Killa Stone, also known as Hot Bezo, played significant roles in the early Cash Money scene. While still connected to the label, Killer Stone passed away from natural causes in Louisiana State Prison. Lil Elt, known as the originator of Get the Gat, and BG, who often spoke of his respect for Terrence Gangsta Williams, are other notable affiliates. BG was released in 2023, adding to the wave of former Cash Money affiliated figures returning to public life. Killer Stone, whose real name was Alvin Nelson, contributed heavily to Cash Money's early dominance. Before becoming a rapper, he managed artists under Cash Money affiliate Soulja Slim. Later, he performed with the Cash Money Degrees and the duo D-Boys, collaborating with Lil Wayne and Juvenile. He also co-wrote the Big Timers hit Still Fly. Stone passed away on January 31, 2013, reportedly of natural causes. His death was deeply felt across New Orleans' streets and the hip-hop community, particularly by those who had known him as both a friend and an influential figure in the early Cash Money era. The passing of Alvin Killer Stone Nelson highlighted the harsh reality of the times. Juvenile, one of the original Hot Boys and a longtime Cash Money rapper, posted a heartfelt message. Just lost one of my best friends today. Remember to tell your people you love them while they're still here. Rest in peace, Alvin Stone. Lil Wayne also honored him, tweeting, "Rip Killer Stone," another Uptown legend. Based on my records, Gangsta Williams and Hot Bezo are the last two Hot Boys alive. These messages reflected not only the loss of talented individuals, but also the dangers and heartbreak that defined New Orleans street life in that era. Today, Terrence Gangsta Williams has transitioned into a new chapter, very different from his past as a street figure and drug dealer. He now participates in public events, motivational speaking, podcasts, media appearances, community outreach, and even acting. Drawing on real-life experience, honesty, and street wisdom, he connects with audiences seeking guidance from someone who has survived life's most difficult challenges. However, Cash Money's history remains complicated and full of unanswered questions. One of the most discussed rumors involves Brian Birdman Williams and the 1997 murder of rapper Yella Boy from UNLV, one of Cash Money's earliest acts. Tensions arose over disputes regarding royalties and loyalty, which escalated into violent encounters. According to accounts from street historians and urban sources, Yella Boy allegedly attacked Birdman and even shot at his vehicle near the Melpomene projects before ultimately being killed. Eric Brightwell of Amoeba Music documented the events, noting that in April 1997, Yella Boy was observed buying drugs shortly before being fatally shot in his car at Washington Avenue and Dryades Street in Uptown New Orleans. He was just 22 years old. No one associated with Cash Money Records, including Birdman, was officially charged in connection with the murder. Nevertheless, Yella Boy's death remains one of Southern hip-hop's most notorious unsolved cases, a violent and tragic episode that illustrates the precarious line between the street and music worlds in early 1990s New Orleans. Even as Cash Money Records grew and launched stars like Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and BG, the story of UNLV and the dangers of the early Cash Money era remained vivid in the minds of those who lived through it. The combination of loyalty, betrayal, violence, and ambition created a period that was both formative and deadly, leaving a lasting imprint on the city, its streets, and the artists who emerged from it. Amid all this history, Terrence Gangsta Williams' voice has grown increasingly significant. It's not just because he was close to these events, but because he's willing to speak about them with honesty and clarity. He serves as a bridge between the past and the present, a rare figure who has survived, learned, and can reflect on what truly happened. As the streets continue to claim lives, and as fans try to separate truth from legend in Cash Money's early years, Gangsta stands out as one of the few people able to tell the story firsthand, without embellishment. Today, interest in his journey goes beyond the crimes he faced or the legendary figures he knew. People are drawn to his story of redemption, personal growth, and the ways he now uses his past to positively influence others. With each passing year, the number of original Hot Boys diminishes, making Terrence Gangsta Williams one of the last living witnesses to a world most only glimpsed through rap music, documentaries, or street lore. Through interviews, media appearances, storytelling, and public speaking, he demonstrates that real transformation is possible and that change can be impactful and powerful. On a lighter note, one of the more curious and amusing stories about Brian "Birdman" Williams shows a different side of the early Cash Money days. Terrence shared that his aunt used to rent birds to Birdman for music videos. To save money, Birdman eventually decided to buy the birds outright. These were mostly white homing pigeons, often used at weddings as symbolic substitutes for doves because they would always fly back home when released. But Birdman became convinced that the birds were escaping or disappearing, so he would call her every month to order more. Amusingly, she kept selling the same birds back to him month after month. It's a small, humanizing anecdote in the midst of a history filled with violence, ambition, and survival, a reminder that even legends have quirky, everyday stories behind the larger-than-life reputations.